This film is based on a true story. 1982. A woman named Mary Griffith has no idea that right now one of her sons, Bobby, is preparing to take a desperate step. The events then take us back to 1979. Walnut Creek, California. Mary and Robert Griffith are the happy parents of 4 children: Ed, Bobby, Joy, and Nancy. It is a deeply devout Christian family. Today the family is celebrating Mary's mother's birthday. When Bobby asks how old she is turning, the elderly woman reproachfully says that one should never ask a lady her age. She begins opening her gifts. Ed makes an ambiguous joke about his grandmother's lipstick, to which his mother responds that it is disgusting. In her opinion, men should not talk about such things. When Joy gives her grandmother a diary meant for sharing thoughts and feelings, the elderly woman says it is a stupid gift. This upsets the girl, and she runs to her room in tears. Bobby follows his sister to comfort her. He is a sensitive and highly empathetic guy who knows how to find the right words. At times Joy envies her brother, because he is the family favorite and no one ever picks on him. But Bobby does not consider himself perfect at all. He asks his sister for permission to take the diary for himself. Her mood immediately improves, and they return to the celebration together. That same evening Bobby breaks up with his girlfriend Michelle, saying that the problem is not her, but him. And that is true, because Bobby is secretly not straight. The guy is afraid that his family will suspect his orientation. At the same time, he can no longer keep it inside and tells his older brother Ed that something is wrong with him. Their deeply religious mother would never accept the idea that one of her children is a sinner. Bobby is glad that he talked to his brother, even though he did not say anything specific. At school, Bobby sees a stunningly handsome guy and cannot take his eyes off him. However, he carefully hides this from his classmates, not wanting to become an outcast. Every day feels like torture to him. Realizing that neither his family nor society will accept him, Bobby, in despair, attempts to pass away voluntarily, but he lacks the courage to go through with it, because it is a sin. Ed finds Bobby in this state. At last the guy admits his orientation to his brother, asking him not to tell their parents. Every morning Bobby wakes up hoping that something will change, but it only gets worse. Ed tries to be understanding, though it is difficult for him as well. Bobby's greatest fear is that his family will hate him. Ed fears that his brother might do something foolish and hurt himself, so he tells everything to their mother. As a deeply religious woman, Mary worries about her family's future in the kingdom of heaven and believes that they must take action. What is happening to Bobby is a very serious sin. Robert suggests to his wife that they should first take care of their earthly life. Bobby, deeply upset that his brother broke his promise, intervenes in the argument. But Ed only wanted what was best. Mary is convinced that together they will overcome this, if they believe in God even more. Out of resentment, Bobby stops speaking to his brother and moves out of their shared bedroom into the living room. Mary covers the house with sticky notes bearing commandments from the Bible, hoping to guide her son onto the right path. She also decides to take Bobby to a psychiatrist to cure him of this so-called illness. The doctor, behaving rather detached, asks the young man a series of questions and concludes that his condition is treatable, provided he makes a sufficient effort. She advises Bobby to spend more time with his father and wants him to come to the next session with both of his parents. Robert dislikes the fact that the doctor seems to place the blame on them. But Mary cannot allow them to lose their son. Every evening the woman prays that Bobby will not give in to temptation. She believes that the Lord will heal him. At Sunday service, Bobby is confused when Reverend Owens asks him how his healing is progressing. It seems that the entire church congregation is already aware of his orientation. Bobby exhausts himself physically in an attempt to distract himself, but no matter what he does, it does not work. He pours his pain into the diary Joy gave him. The very thought of going to hell is unbearable for Bobby. Mary advises her son not to lose perseverance, hoping that he will come to like some girl. Faith will show him the right path. Robert goes on a camping trip with his sons. Bobby dreams of becoming a writer, but his father believes that this is not serious. Castles in the air are fine in youth, but there is no place for them in real life. After the trip, Bobby sharply tells his mother that he has been healed. Robert seems ready to give up, preferring to accept the situation as it is. But Mary insists that they all visit the psychiatrist together. The doctor concludes that what is happening to Bobby may be the result of being raised by a domineering mother, or an emotionally distant father. Robert considers this nonsense, because he himself had both. In desperate attempts to fix the situation, Mary invites a girl from Sunday school, Sheila, to their home. Bobby is not thrilled about this unplanned date, but he cannot oppose his mother and takes Sheila to a disco, where Ed and his girlfriend join them. At last Bobby forgives his brother, because Ed truly cared about him. However, the fun is quickly overshadowed when Bobby falls into paranoia, thinking that everyone around knows the truth about him. He leaves the disco and returns home only at 3 in the morning. Mary, who has been waiting for her son all this time without sleeping, says that this is not him, but his temptation. If he wants to be healed, he must pray even more fervently. Bobby is already utterly exhausted and can no longer stand seeing the stickers with commandments all over the house. Mary is anxious, afraid that her friends will guess her son's orientation. She criticizes him for dressing in a feminine way and for holding his hand on his hip. Upset and overwhelmed, the young man goes to a bar where people like him gather. Bobby immediately draws attention and receives many compliments. But before things go too far, he hurries to leave. At home, he lies to his mother, saying that he was at church. Janet, Bobby's cousin, comes to visit the Griffiths. During a family lunch, the young man announces his decision to drop out of school and give up on college. Mary does not understand why her son wants to ruin his life. He simply replies that it is his life. Later, Janet invites Bobby to stay with her in Portland and sort himself out. He promises to think about it. That same evening, two guys dressed in women's clothes appear on the Griffiths' doorstep. Bobby says that they are his friends and that he feels good with them, no matter what his mother thinks about it. Mary sincerely does not understand why her son is making such a choice and condemning himself to the fires of hell. Bobby says that this is not his choice. He would be glad if everything were different. No longer able to withstand his mother's pressure, the young man decides to go to Portland to stay with his cousin Janet for 2 months. The whole family sees him off. His mother gives him a Bible with his initials to take with him. For the first time in a long while, Bobby feels free, hoping to start with a clean slate. Janet takes him to the most fashionable club in the city and introduces him to her friend, a handsome guy named David. They quickly hit it off. Bobby finds a kindred spirit in David, because they share the same orientation. Unlike Bobby's family, David's family accepted him for who he is. Bobby knows that his mother has good intentions, but she is unlikely ever to accept him. The young man wants to somehow fix this and sends his mother a letter, making it clear that he will not change. Bobby has a great time with David. 2 months pass unnoticed, and soon it is time to return home. The first thing Bobby does is confess to his family that he is in a relationship. The atmosphere at the table instantly becomes tense. Mary tries to pretend that she did not hear him. Bobby in turn tries to speak honestly with his mother, explaining that he has no control over this. He is tired of apologizing for who he is. And Mary will either have to come to terms with it, or she will no longer have a son. Barely holding back his emotions, Bobby leaves the house. Joy follows him. She only wants her brother to be happy, but by choosing this path, he must be prepared for loneliness. Neither he nor his partner will ever be welcome at home, neither for Christmas nor for Thanksgiving. When Bobby makes the final decision to move to Portland, Mary cannot hold back and cries. Everyone except his mother sees him off and wishes him luck in his new life. He intends to fulfill his dream of becoming a writer. To earn a living, Bobby gets a job as an orderly at a hospital. Mary misses her son terribly and fears that his life will go downhill. Janet visits Bobby on his birthday. He receives a gift package from his mother, a sweater and a church card. It hurts the young man to realize that they are no longer a family. David offers to introduce Bobby to his family. The young man is very nervous. What if they do not like him? But David's parents turn out to be very kind people. Despite everything, Bobby cannot get his mother's words out of his head for a single minute, that he is a sinner, and that hell awaits him. The situation is made worse by the fact that David begins to avoid Bobby and ignores his calls. Every night before going to bed, Mary prays for her son. When Bobby sees David with another man, he breaks down in tears, feeling betrayed. In despair, he drives to a bridge and prepares to take a fatal step. At that moment all his memories flash before his eyes, the bad ones and the good ones alike. But when Bobby recalls how his mother told him that she did not want a son like him, this becomes the point of no return. In the morning Janet calls the Griffiths to report the tragic news. Joy begins screaming uncontrollably. Robert comes to his wife's workplace to tell her in person that their son is gone. Mary's entire world collapses. In front of her colleagues, she breaks down into hysteria. Ed learns about it right in the middle of football practice. He cannot believe it and runs across the field, screaming. The family prepares for the funeral. They must stick together in order to survive this grief. Reverend Owens delivers the funeral sermon, saying that Bobby gave in to temptation and strayed from the path. When his illusions collapsed, he lost the meaning of life. Sin made this kind young man unhappy. David, who is also present at the funeral, disagrees with this. Mary asks her mother whether Bobby will find salvation. Perhaps the Lord will show mercy and grant him forgiveness. Bobby does not deserve to go to hell. David approaches Bobby's parents to personally express his condolences. Mary, forcing herself, returns his handshake, after which she carefully washes her hands. Janet fiercely condemns Mary for her prejudice, wondering why her aunt allowed the Reverend to call Bobby a sinner in front of everyone. Mary tells Janet that it would be better for her to leave. But left alone in the kitchen, the woman cries. Mary would give anything for her son to come back. Among her late son's belongings, the woman finds his diary, in which he shared his thoughts about how much he suffered because of his family's rejection. He could not be the perfect son she wanted him to be. Every line causes Mary unbearable pain. Ed cannot come to terms with his brother's death and feels angry with him. He did not even call them or leave a farewell note. Bobby acted selfishly and left without a word. Robert tells his son that it is not his fault. Mary speaks with Reverend Owens and Reverend Hassler. The woman needs at least a faint chance that Bobby's soul will not be consigned to the flames. After all, he was honest and kind, and never hurt anyone. Unfortunately, the priests cannot say anything that might comfort her. Mary also begins keeping a diary. Guilt weighs heavily on her. Because of this, she grows distant from her husband, despite his attempts to support her. The woman goes to a city church and seeks out Reverend Witzel to get clear answers about whether her late son's orientation is a mortal sin. Reverend Witzel explains that the Bible is not meant to be interpreted literally. The pastor believes in one thing: the Lord loves all his children. For the first time, Mary hears something that gives her hope. Witzel tells the woman that if she ever wants to come by to talk, his doors are always open, but not for condemnation. Gradually, Mary learns to live with the loss, as does the rest of the family. They prepare for Christmas and decorate the tree. It will be their first Christmas without Bobby. Sadness is etched on every one of their faces. Mary visits Reverend Witzel again to make sure that there is still a chance for her son's soul. The pastor patiently explains that interpretations of the scriptures are nothing more than reflections of their time. Many of those views have long since become outdated. Mary does not believe it is right for Witzel to interpret the Bible at his own discretion. The pastor advises her to attend a state-supported parents' organization for families with children like Bobby. That way Mary will understand that she is not alone. The woman says that this is not for her and leaves. From then on, day after day, Mary tries to convince herself that the Bible is not to be taken literally. Robert asks his wife to stop. Bobby is no longer with them, and that cannot be changed. However, for Mary it is vital to know that their son's soul is in heaven. The spouses argue, which has been happening more and more often. 6 months have already passed since Bobby's death, but it has not become any easier. Betty Lambert appears on their doorstep. Mary had previously contacted her on Reverend Witzel's advice. Betty's son is already 30, and her son is also not straight. She has gone through everything that parents usually go through in such situations. Betty is here to support Mary. The woman finally decides to attend the parents' organization Reverend Witzel mentioned. After listening to dozens of stories from people just like her, Mary feels relief. When she returns home, she reconciles with her husband. Despite everything, the woman's soul is still in turmoil. Not knowing where else to turn, she goes to Reverend Witzel's church. Only now does Mary realize that from the moment of his birth, Bobby was not like everyone else. The Lord did not heal him simply because there was nothing to heal. The woman feels unbearable guilt. Witzel says that it is not the Lord who must forgive her, but she herself. 8 months after losing her son, Mary speaks before the city council, urging people to be more tolerant. Bobby, along with many other teenagers like him, could not withstand the bullying at a time when they desperately needed their family's support. Mary's family watches her speech on television. In the end, everyone applauds her. The family moves to San Francisco to begin a new life.